Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. And today I get to sit with my buddy, Kelly Bull, who is an ecosystem builder. And I would say you're the CEO, president of Hey Neighbor,
Executive director.
executive director of Hey Neighbor, which is a nonprofit in Colorado Springs dedicated to getting people, neighbors to be together.
Mhm.
Welcome to the show, Kelly.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We hit it off in our last conversation. I mean, if y'all could have been a fly on the wall, that one was full of energy. So we're gonna try to revisit some of that today. Um, Kelly, do you mind telling us a little bit about your origin story, your defining moment in your life?
Yeah, there's been a couple. I recently have had kind of a career shift. It to other people on the outside, it might look like it might be out of the blue, but I can see all of the connections and why it makes sense. But my whole
Yeah,
background is in horticulture, landscape design, permaculture. So I've always been very, very connected to nature ever since I was a little kid. I loved planting the garden beds with my mom, and then yeah, got to college, didn't know what I was going to study, and then just was looking through the course catalog, found all these courses on horticulture and gardening and farming, and I was like, whoa, you can do this as a living. I just thought this was fun, and it just hadn't occurred to me. So spent 20 years of my life really dedicated to growing plants, teaching other people how to grow plants, designing landscapes, designing. I started my own landscape design company where I design food forests, and it's really designing ecosystems. So I do not love to put a ton of energy into something forever. I like to really have a smart system and a smart design and then plant the plants and then let them take care of themselves. And that's what a food forest can do for you, where you're really just creating like an ecosystem. If you walk out into a natural forest, that forest is taking care of itself. So that's what I'm trying to do with landscapes is create these food forests that feed you, have these really sustainable systems so that it doesn't take much effort and that you get a lot out of it. So
amazing.
yeah, very focused on nature, very focused on systems. Um, and so kind of a turning point for me was about 4 years ago when I moved to Colorado Springs. And I moved into a neighborhood where nobody welcomed us at all. Nobody acknowledged us. Nobody waved hello. There was no eye contact. It was just nothing. And I grew up in Georgia in a neighborhood where everybody knew each other. We had the pig picking on Memorial Day where we had this giant pig roast, and it was just like so great, and everyone knew everyone. The kids knew every single owner of every house and who had kids and who didn't. And it was just like you knew each other. And so I felt really uncomfortable living in this neighborhood, not knowing anybody. It made me feel unsafe. It wasn't very fun. I just felt like lonely. And so I wanted to make sure that I knew my neighbors. And yeah, it was just a turning point where I was like, I'm not accepting this culture of unwelcoming. And so I'm going to change it. Yeah, so I started thinking about how I could get people's attention. I decided that if they weren't going to talk to me, I was going to give them something to talk about. I started redesigning my whole front yard, which had no landscape at all when we moved in. So it was a blank slate. Had a giant truckload of mulch dumped in the front yard, so that already was something where people were like looking, like, what is she doing with that giant pile of mulch? And yeah, just like little bit by little bit, started landscaping the yard, planting all the plants myself, out there digging with a shovel, physically running into people who were walking their dogs. So I'm saying good morning and starting to see people, and they recognize me. And then one day, I finally just had it with not knowing my next door neighbor. She has a big privacy fence around her yard, and I knew that we would be friends because she has a garden and I could see through the fence. It sounds
Yeah,
really creepy. I peeked through the fence, saw the garden, was like, I know we'll be friends. I just need to actually physically see her. Um, yeah, and so really a defining moment was when I heard her in the backyard and poked my head over the fence and just said, "Hey, neighbor." myself. I did ask for consent first. I said, "Hey, can I poke my head over the fence and say hello to you?" And she said yes. And she was a little like taken aback, but warmed up quickly, and
Yeah.
then learned that she's a retired nurse. She's living over there by herself. And I mean, fast forward to 2 months ago, we were her emergency contact for her knee surgery, and we go out to dinner, and we're very close. And then she introduced me to her next door neighbor on the other side, who she did know, and now we're all very close, and it's just snowballed. So it's been one neighbor to the next to the next, and now I know all the neighbors on all the sides of me, and we hang out and we bring each other's packages in and we ask for help when we need it. And so it just feels like what I'm after, with a really safe and supportive and fun neighborhood.
So
Yeah. So that, I would say that has been a big turning point, and that I just really want everyone to feel that same feeling. And I've learned how transferable all of my ecosystem design has been with social ecosystems, and
yep.
building that and finding the resources in the ecosystem and finding overlap and connection, and trying to build these communities where it's supportive, where it takes care of itself, with closed loops. And yeah, it is like building a forest, but building a neighborhood.
So then how did that passion, right? So because you start off with this passion, it's a passion for growing things, growing healthy things, right? Creating healthy ecosystems where things can thrive.
Hmm.
That starts with plants. And then you realize, through this kind of defining moment, that it also is transferable to people, human communities,
Hmm.
can be cultivated to thrive also through intentionality.
Hmm.
And so then how does that calling now become your job, right? Like amazingly, this is your job now. So
Yeah,
tell us about that.
it all just lined up really nicely. That
Yeah.
um, I was I realized how passionate I was about neighborhoods. And so I learned about an organization called Kono, and they had this neighborhood university. And I took the neighborhood university. It's this 12-week free program that you learn all about how the city works. And when you want to make change in your community, then you learn about all the different departments in the city and who you can talk to and who does what and who's making what decisions. So I took that program, I really loved it, wanted to be part of this organization. So then I joined the board. They had an open seat. And then as I joined the board, ED at the time stepped down. I filled in just as a favor for what was going to be 30 to 90 days. And then just in 1 week of doing that job, I was just one of those moments where it's like, you're supposed to be doing this. Like this,
Yeah.
don't leave. This is the job that you're supposed to be doing. Yeah, I was the intern for a year, and then in April, I became the full-time executive director, and I just, yeah, love what I'm doing. It's just the best job ever. Just, I mean, helping people love where they live, like what's better than that?
Yeah. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit more about the structure so formerly Kono, now it's been rebranded, renamed as Hey Neighbor,
Yes.
which now harkens me right back to when you poked your head up over the fence and you said, "Hey neighbor," to your neighbor, and that was the beginning of the transformation, not just in you and that person, but actually in your neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it began a transformation in your neighborhood. So, can you talk a little bit about how you're doing that through the Hey Neighbor organization?
Yeah. So yeah, the reason we renamed it Hey Neighbor was that was that pivotal moment that really set off the whole. It was the catalyst for our neighborhood actually connecting, was just saying Hey Neighbor. And so we really think that if we can just get every neighbor saying Hey Neighbor to their neighbors, just the power that can come from that. And so we think that there's kind of like a three-step process of really getting neighborhoods connected and building these vibrant communities. And the first one is to just make connections. Just saying, hey neighbor, starting right there, making eye contact, waving at your neighbors when they're leaving for work, are, just simple,
Yeah.
simple gestures mean a lot. So first making connections, then the second one helping them build connection or build relationships, and how, like, encouraging people to swap phone numbers and actually ask for favors and share your gifts with people, share your abundance with people. And I get to know a lot of my neighbors because I have a lot of flowers in my yards, and I love making bouquets. So I will just make a bouquet, put it out in front of the house, and say, free flowers, enjoy your day. And one of my good friends in my neighborhood, I made, because I put those flowers out, it made her day. And then the next day on her walk by, she dropped off a jar of jelly that she had made and left her name and her phone number. And then we got together, and now she is my massage therapist, and I get a
Wow.
massage from her. And she comes to all of the planting parties that we host in the neighborhood, and we're just super close. So helping build those relationships is really important. And then once you've made the connections, built the relationships, then that's when often people are then dreaming up ways to change their neighborhood for the better, and dreaming of what their neighborhood could be. And they start thinking about, like, the parties they can have and all the gatherings they can do. And so then we're there to help support along the way for that as well, of however you want to make your neighborhood a better place. So.
Yes. Yep. So now we're into the action phase,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where we're joining forces together. Like we've connected. Okay, cool. Now we have a relationship. That's even better. Okay, now how do we take that connection, that relationship, and turn that into action that supports, right? Because again, you're talking about, you keep saying, ecosystems that support themselves, I think is how you put it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ecosystems that take care of themselves,
Mm-hmm.
takes care of itself,
Yeah.
right? So that's what you're talking about. Now it's action that
Mm-hmm.
happens. It's the third step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very very cool. This story feels very important to me, and probably not even just for our community, here in Colorado Springs, but for communities across the nation, that you actually can do this,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think mostly we don't because we don't think it'll work.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't tend to do things that we don't think will work. And if we don't have a blueprint or a strategy or any guarantee of success, then we're generally not going to try,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it takes a visionary, usually somebody who has some sort of epiphany,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you were you thinking? Let me ask this question: when you started this process of kind of going to your neighbors and trying to facilitate, were you thinking in horticultural terms at that time, or was it more just instinct?
Yeah, everything I do, I think in horticultural terms. Everything is always like a garden analogy with me.
Yeah,
But to be honest, when all of this started, I don't want to say selfish, but it was motivated in a different way, where I really wanted to make my neighborhood a model of a sustainable neighborhood. And I was thinking more in ecological terms of, like, I'm showing everybody in my yard how you can have this food forest that's water wise and bring
yeah,
pollinators and feed you. And so I
yeah,
wanted lots of other people to have that too, because the more my yard expands into other yards, the more
yeah,
food there is in the neighborhood, the more
yeah,
pollinators there are, the more birds there are to entertain us. And
yeah,
so it was kind of more from that standpoint of helping the environment, because I've always been so connected with nature that I was first and foremost trying to help nature, the rest of
yeah,
nature. We're nature too, but like the
yeah,
non-human nature. But then I realized, in order to help the non-human nature, I need to really help the humans. And that
mm,
by connecting, I've always been very into helping humans connect with nature, the rest of nature, but I hadn't really thought much about helping humans connect with other humans. And so that human to human connection is important for the human to nature connection. Um, so yeah,
wow,
so it really started with that evolving into more of a focus on the humans. And then it's come back around because now we do these planting parties in my neighborhood, where we're about to do the fourth planting party in a year, um, and a year and a half. So the first one was last the May before last, 2024. And we have transformed now 3 yards completely from dirt, nothing, weeds to mini food forests in these yards. And so, yard by yard, we're expanding our neighborhood food forest. And so, in October, we're doing our 4th one. And it's been all neighbors coming together, like free labor of neighbors coming together and transforming these yards. And it's just been incredible. So, in order for me to have that big impact on nature like I wanted, now I have the human connection that's making it work tenfold. It's been great.
Something about this is really profound, and I don't know. I don't know if I can put it into words, but I definitely see that this gift that you have for flourishing. You have a gift for creating flourishing things. Um, but then it's totally connected to community and ecosystem. It's connected to it's not like I do this gift and everything gets better. It's I do this gift and I invite other people into an experience, and then together we make things better,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a community gifting, but it probably didn't occur to you that that's what the gifting was, right? When it's just you and the plant.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I knew I have like a gift of envisioning the future, not like fortune
Yeah,
telling, but like I
right,
can
right.
see, I'm a visionary in that I can see physically the whole picture in my mind. And so
Yeah,
when I think about my neighborhood, I can see it in 15 years from now, and I can see the whole picture of what it's going to look like. And so piece by piece, I'm working at that. And so yeah, that's one gift that I was aware of that I realized kind of recently that not everyone can visualize like
no,
that. So it's
no.
really helpful that I can hold the picture in my mind. And so, yeah, being able to hold that picture now in my mind of the collective community together making this happen has been like a new addition to it, which is really great.
That's wild. Okay, so I'm going to ask you two questions based on that. What is that picture of your neighborhood that you hold in 15 years? That's the first question.
So, like environmentally, it's that the majority of the yards have these fruit trees and berry bushes and pollinator plants, and that we have birders coming through our neighborhood because we are the hot spot for birds in all of Colorado Springs. We have a farmer's market where everybody is harvesting the fruit from their trees and swapping. So it's okay that you only have a peach tree in your yard because all your neighbors have apples and pears and plums, and that we just have this really self sustaining neighborhood. That we're using very little water because we have such healthy soil that holds it in like a sponge, and that everything is just grown organically in a really stable system. And that, yeah, the neighbors are swapping their own gifts. That my neighbors now know that they can come to me for any plant related or landscape related questions, and they do. And I know my neighbor is a retired nurse, and that I can go to her with any health issues. I had to get
Yes,
stitches rebandaged,
yes.
and she would go do it for me when my husband was out of town. And I know the neighbor 2 doors down installs insulation, and we needed insulation in our attic, so we went to her. And so we it's
Yes.
just very resourceful. I know the tailor in my neighborhood now where I needed to get some pants hemmed, and I just walked a couple doors down and supported her local business. It's just so cool. There's so many gifts in your neighborhood that are untapped that you just don't know everyone has. Everyone has a superpower and a gift. So just it doesn't take that much effort to learn what they are. And then when you do, it really enriches your life. So that's what I'm imagining is in 15 years, my neighborhood, that people know what's around them and knows how to use it and how to support each other.
What a beautiful dream. I mean, just a beautiful dream that is on track to becoming reality, right?
Hmm.
Uh, I'm going to ask you to apply the same question to the Hey Neighbor movement. What do you see in Colorado Springs? What's that future in Colorado Springs that you'd like to seek, that you're seeking to establish now?
Yeah, I want to make it the norm to know your neighbor. I want it to be easy. I think a lot of times people, especially if you've lived in a neighborhood for a while and you just never made the effort to go know your neighbors, or your neighbors didn't make the effort to know you, it just, you get stuck like that. And I want people to always feel like it's never too late to know your neighbors, and that to just gain that tiny little bit of courage to just go say, hey, neighbor. So that's kind of the first vision I would like to see happen, is just that that is the norm, that is the culture, that you don't have someone move into your neighborhood without the other neighbors checking to see who's going to
Yep.
welcome them, you know, whether
Yep.
it's the whole group or at least one of them brings them the welcome muffins, but someone knows that you see a moving truck and you go and you welcome those people.
Yes.
So yeah, really making that the norm of welcoming and belonging in neighborhoods. And then I hope that Hey Neighbor becomes just a household neighborhood name that you know to reach out to us. If you're looking to plan a gathering for your neighborhood and you need help with a block party permit, or we have rentals for barricades for shutting down the street so you can party in the street. If you don't know how to connect with your neighbors, we have our neighborhood cafe program that if you just get six of your neighbors together, the coffee is on us. And it's amazing what comes out of a meeting with just six neighbors meeting each other for their first time over coffee. It's so simple and it's so impactful. So yeah, my vision for us is really just that it's everybody knows of this organization, that we're very easy to reach out to. Everyone reaches out, gets help. And then I would love to see us kind of go nationwide eventually, of helping other cities establish something similar, like a branch of Hey Neighbor, to help other cities as well. So once our city is super connected, and we can help other people.
That's crazy. So do other cities have the equivalent, or is this a very rare, like the Kono, formerly Kono, now Hey Neighbor? Is that an abnormal thing that doesn't normally exist in a city?
You know, I'm finding other organizations that are similar. I don't think it's a very common thing. I think it might be becoming, it's way more on the map now that there's really been the epidemic of loneliness in the news, and all of those statistics on how much loneliness impacts health. And so there's a lot more attention being paid towards connection and community building. So I'm starting kind of one by one to meet more people in different cities who are working on connection work. But it's not super common. I think we have a special thing happening. There are cities that also have something similar to Neighborhood University, where you learn about the city, but they're generally hosted through the city, not from a nonprofit. So we're special in that way.
So why did it happen here in the Springs? I mean, you can theorize for me, but why? Yeah, why did? Because it sounds. Let me back up for a second. It sounds like there's not a blueprint for this to happen in other cities. It sounds like if it happens, it happens spontaneously and probably evolves differently depending on where you go. Right? It's not like a chamber is a template. A chamber of commerce is a template. Right? Everybody's got a template. They pretty much all function the same.
Hmm.
I can think of other social institutions that are a template.
Hmm.
This doesn't seem like it has a template yet. So,
Yeah, you know, there are a lot of other cities are more, I guess, maybe intentional about how they plan their neighborhoods,
hmm
and how they structure neighborhoods with HOAs and neighborhood associations, and how they keep track of registering neighborhoods and neighborhood associations. So, like, Denver has a much more, I don't know if it's more like systematic way of registering neighborhoods and keeping track of neighborhoods. Colorado Springs has been, um, as far as like overall plan for Colorado Springs, there's a lot of winging it, you know?
yeah,
um, so as far as neighborhoods go, it's like the planning department right now is who is like registering those neighborhoods. But there's a very kind of flexible system within that. So I think that Kono, when we were Kono, it was the Council of Neighborhood Organizations. That was started in 1976, where they just needed to kind of keep track of HOAs and neighborhood associations and to provide support for neighborhood associations and HOAs. And then eventually it became more of like advocacy, where the neighborhoods could get together and advocate on bigger issues together.
Yeah.
But it's evolved recently where HOAs can't even get people to go to an HOA meeting anymore because neighbors are so disconnected. So we can't focus on an HOA anymore without focusing on a neighbor to neighbor connection. So that's really why we've evolved into Hey Neighbor, is because there's no HOA without neighbors saying hello to each other. So we had to go back to that neighbor to neighbor connection to really inspire some change.
Wow. What are you excited about for the future?
Oh man, so much. I'm These planting parties are what really fill my cup, because it's that like big impact on the environment and bringing people together to do it. And so, yeah, in October, that one's coming up, which I'm very excited about. And now I can start to see that is going to branch out into other neighborhoods. So being able to see the impact that we're having, and that we've had other neighbors come to these planting parties to be like, oh my gosh, we want to do this in our neighborhood. And so just seeing that snowball is really exciting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So cool.
And then the other thing that has me really excited is these neighborhood cafes that are so simple. I love something that costs minimally, that has a huge impact. And these things are just amazing, because what's come out of these little tiny 6-person meetings has been amazing. Like neighbors who started text chains with each other because they met on this, that has grown, and then neighbors who have then scheduled neighborhood cleanups together. And then I saw a neighborhood that started with our neighborhood cafe, and now they have a new Facebook page, and then they're getting all the neighbors to join that. And just, it's so cool to see just a small catalyst have this huge change. So that's been very fun, is to figure out where I can focus my energy that has the biggest impact, with a huge payoff with just a little tweak.
It's huge. Now, how is your organization defining success for you? So, right. So Kelly Bull and Hey Neighbor are being successful. Is there a definition? Like, how do you quantify that? Maybe there isn't a way, but I'm wondering if there's, you know, is it how many Facebook pages get thrown up for neighborhoods? Is it participation in HOA meetings? Is it like, are there metrics that are yielding insight?
We're still kind of working out the metrics, because the programs have been really tweaked over the last year. We really focused on what we do well and how to best do that. And we really focused on kind of distilling down what we do. We had our hands in a lot of things in the past couple of years, and we had to
Yeah.
really figure out like what we could
Yeah.
handle and what has the most impact. So we really worked hard on
You
defining
call
the
that
program.
pruning? Would you call that pruning?
Yes, good garden metaphor. Excellent. We did a lot of pruning. Yes. And with all that pruning, yes, we have like a flourishing new growth coming out.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the next step is to really quantify that and figure out the metrics for how to best measure that. But right now, like the most fun way I have been measuring things is we have this map where we're keeping track of things. If we have a neighborhood university student come in and then graduate from the program, and then they become a neighborhood leader, we kind of make a little dot and a little connection. And then once they're a neighborhood leader, they hosted a neighborhood cafe, and then they hosted a cleanup, and then they hosted. So it's been very cool to see the path of impact it's having on people and how their impact is spreading. And that just we brought them in with one thing with Neighborhood University, and now they've gone out and done all of these different things. And just how impactful these programs will be with the more participants we get in them, because they just keep reaching out, and
Yeah.
it's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. Um, I wonder, and this is for context, and actually this is also for me too, because I like to connect movements together. So it seems to me that any movement that's happening that is creating connection and relationship within regional local communities is a potential ally for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you're going to do more with others who are already doing than you would do just arising from your own movement.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Um, so, are there examples of other organizations that you tend to partner with, or that you look at what they're doing and say, "Oh, we really like that"?
Yeah. So, I mean, on the like planting party front, we partner with Fountain Creek Watershed, who's very passionate about our water and clean water. And so they have been finding most of the grants for us to do these planting parties, and to which are like rain gardens that are using roof water to water the plants and filter the water. And
What?
yeah, that's part of my designs, is always incorporating roof water so that you're using the maximum amount of free water and clean rainwater on your property. And then it doesn't overwhelm the sewage system, the stormwater system. So it has all these different benefits. So yeah, partnering with them has been really great. We work with Rise, who is all their community builders in the Southeast. And we yeah, lots of different neighborhood associations to try to help them boost what they're doing in their neighborhoods. But yeah, we're open to, I love collaborating. I think in Colorado Springs we are all, especially nonprofits, just working in these silos, that if we join together more, we're able to share our resources and be so much stronger together. And so, yeah, very open to collaborating with all sorts of organizations.
When you say neighborhood associations, do you mean like the HOAs of Colorado Springs and things like that, or do you mean different types of?
You can have different types. Homeowners association, you're paying dues. There's often like a management system, a management company. You can have something more informal, like a neighborhood association, where you have registered as an association and you have a board of directors, but it doesn't have to be as many like covenants as an HOA. Or so a neighborhood association is a great way to keep in touch with your neighbors and have like an email list or a text chain, without having to always have all those covenants.
Yeah, very cool. Um, and my last question for you, and you've alluded to this a little bit when I asked you about your vision for the future, but what's your dream? What's your big dream? Big dream, little goal. So you can go either one. Big dream, little goal, something in between, both. How would you answer that?
My big dream is that everyone feels connected to nature. And I mean nature, including other humans as well, because we are also nature. And I think that if everyone feels that connection to the non human world and the human world, then we make better choices and we live happier, healthier lives.
How did you? I said that was the last question, but I lied. Um, how did that become so important to you?
Um, I have a friend who tells me that my first language is nature, and that um, I just see how important our natural systems are, with like cleaning our air that we have to breathe and the water that we have to drink. And when we don't make decisions first based on nature, it is harming us. And so I don't quite understand how other people don't make that connection, but it's also because my first language is nature. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. So for me, it's just the dream is why can't everybody just see what I can see? Like
Yeah.
this really matters. Our future depends on it. Whether you believe in global warming or not, you have to drink clean water and breathe clean air. And
Yeah.
I want to live comfortably on this planet and live a healthy, happy life. So they're not disconnected, and that you need to have good relationships and positive connections with humans as well, because that's all part of nature and is part of your life. And so, yeah, we have to have it. And if we want to live, we have to have it.
Kelly, you got something really special going on. I think that you're
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody talk the way that you talk. I've never heard anybody, because I'm a connector. So like what you're talking about, like creating thriving ecosystems, I understand in human terms,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's innate to me, just like it's your first, like nature's your first language. Connection, probably human connection is my first language,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, but the way that you relate and you're showing us that there are principles underlying the world that work both in the natural world of horticulture and thriving plants, but then also in the natural world of humans, and that those maybe I'm going too far, but that those laws that govern both actually govern them both because we're all organisms, we're all a part of nature, intended to function in a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
and part of that includes functioning harmoniously in community, whether plant or human,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So you're speaking to something really deep when you talk the way that you're talking. Um, and I just appreciate it. I think it's an important message. I think your story is stunning. Like you changed your neighborhood, right? You came into a neighborhood where folks didn't even say hi to you or look you in the eye, and now y'all are having planting parties together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like
That's special.
that's very special. So keep doing what you're doing, and again, just thank you for sharing that story with us today.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for getting it out of me.
Yeah, and for everybody who was with us to the end, you get special points for hanging out to the very end. Thank you, and we will see you next time. Take it easy. Bye bye.